Hey everyone, my name is Fraser. Welcome back to my channel. So recently I was working on my game, Rated Mutant, links in the description, and I thought to myself, one of the hardest parts of game development is finishing it. A lot of people think it's the beginning, and it really isn't. So today I'm going to give you my top 5 tips on how to finish a game. First one is to involve other people. You'd be surprised how hard it is to finish a game when you're the only one vested. And I honestly just realized this myself. I've been working on Rated Mutant on and off for a very long time, and part of the reason that I kept delaying the development or changing things was just because I was like, oh, I can only let down myself, right? So it's like, who cares if I take a 6-month hiatus from actually doing anything? Who cares if I do this? Who cares if I do that? You have to involve other people. And it doesn't mean like start a YouTube channel and like do a thing, social media. If that's not your game, that's not your game. I mean, involve your significant other, involve your parents, involve your friends. They care about you, and so they'll care about what you care about, what you're passionate about. So just involve other people however you can. The second tip is about momentum. Just like anything we do in life, if we don't keep things going, start to form that habit, it'll make it harder to keep going. So think about if you've ever tried to start a new hobby, or maybe you said, oh, new year, new me, I'm gonna hit the gym. Have you ever done it for like a week, pretty consistent, maybe even 2 weeks, and then the third week you stop? And then all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe I'll try to pick it up, and you don't really. That's a big part of what I mean when I say momentum. I'm not saying literally every single day you need to do game development. I'm just saying that you need to be pretty consistent, which kind of brings in together another topic, which is 0 days. Now, when I say 0 day, I don't mean like an exploit or something computery. I just mean like you shouldn't have 0 days. You shouldn't have days that you don't do anything towards your game. It's okay if you do, but ideally you should be doing a little something, what that means, like you're drawing something, you're making some music, maybe you're recording a video, maybe you're just contemplating, maybe you're just writing down your ideas, but don't have 0 days. And actually, if you guys follow DevDuck on YouTube, his tips for game development is kind of where, inspired me to include this part in my video. And I think a good way to help with that is actually just having visual reminders. So I actually created like 3 to 5 backgrounds to use if you like. I have them on my personal phone, so like I'll show you guys my phone screen. I'll just add it into the video. I personally use these myself actually to keep myself motivated, to kind of remind myself. I use them on my computers, I use them on my phones. If you want, you can even print it out and use it for whatever you need. And it doesn't have to be a background per se. It could also just be a list of things. So like, for example, I have a list of things that I want to show and convey in Rated Mutant, and I just kind of have a printout of that like in the corner of my office, just to kind of always be there as a reminder. If you guys want to see like a tutorial on how I made those in Illustrator actually, drop a comment below and let me know. Alright, we're at number 3. My third tip is about iterating. So what does that mean? A lot of us like to start out doing a thing where we're like, I'm gonna create this crazy game that's gonna have all these features and all these things. And it's good to dream big, but we also need to be realistic and see how we work our way towards that, If you're going to make a game that is, let's say you wanna make a game that has real-time multiplayer, for example, right? You need to start out by making a game first, then adding the local multiplayer, and then making your way to real multiplayer, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to just start going after directly towards multiplayer. That's just not how we work, right? Like, in fact, I would say that part of the reason that we get so discouraged sometimes when finishing our games is because we start off with these huge chunks. I don't know about you guys, but all throughout my life, even at school, even in like my personal work development, like things like that, If I didn't specifically break it down into smaller goals, I would feel so overwhelmed that sometimes I might not even get to it. And that's when we get procrastination happening, and then we never actually finish. Or worse, our timetable gets pushed back even further than we wanted it to. So iteration is extremely important. My fourth tip is defining a hard stop. What do you mean by that? Well, what I mean is we as human beings and as game developers, we love to dream big in the same way that I said before. We all want to get to our dream game, but what can happen is sometimes we're playing something and we're like, oh, this game feels good, but like, what if I did this? What if I did that? What if I added all these new things? And that is scope creep. And a great way to actually never finish your game is to continuously add features. At some point, you need to make the decision of when the hard stop of your game is. And what I would say to that is that you should define the features that you want. Obviously, there's some wiggle room, but you need to have a stopping point. It needs to be that you can add some things later, right? Look at Spelunky 2. It just came out. When it first came out, it didn't have the online multiplayer co-op, but it added it over time. We make software at the end of the day, so that means that we can continuously update with more features and things like that. And now, I'm not necessarily saying that you should release your game and it's a little skimpy, you know what I mean? I just mean we don't have to go for 120% every time. We can kind of walk that back a bit, hit our 100%, and then maybe 105 and so on and so forth until we get to where we're going. But make sure you define a hard stop just so you're not in development hell. And now finally, and if you made it this far in the video, I want you to really understand what I mean by this. You need to find balance. You need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your mental health. A lot of times I think because we hear these stories of these indies doing incredible work and how they were sleeping and breathing game dev, and they didn't eat for 12 days, and they did all these things that we're like, oh my God, if I'm not literally spending every waking moment, I'm not really going after my dream. I didn't do enough. That's not true. That is BS. Just stop there. A big part about finishing a project is maintaining the balance between working on it and the balance of just keeping yourself afloat, healthy, and happy. I'll say that I still struggle with this, and I was actually talking to my friend William about it, who's actually game dev himself and makes some pretty cool Unity 3D assets. Link in the comments again. But I was telling him how that personally for me, I was spending so much time sometimes doing things like, oh, me and my girlfriend are going to get some food. She's going to drive and I'll spend my time drawing something for the game or trying to develop music or something like that. And I'm talking a 5-minute drive. Time, that wasn't going to do me any good. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom. I got to write ideas on my phone. And that's a really toxic mindset to have, honestly, because it means that you're doing absolutely nothing but thinking about your game, and what that'll do is it'll cause burnout. You'll burn out completely. You'll basically hemorrhage. Have you ever, I'm sorry with the gym references, but if you've ever decided that you wanted to work out, you said, okay, I'm going to work out, and you spend 3 hours in the gym one day. And you're really tired and it sucks. And then the next day, maybe you spend another 3 hours in the gym, and you've done so much that, another day comes, you're feeling crappy, and you're basically like, oh, I'm not gonna actually go to the gym. And then you never end up going back, right? That's exactly what game development is like. If you do too much at once, you will burn yourself out. It'll feel like a chore. And this really shouldn't be a chore. This is our passion product. Passion projects. So when I say take care of yourself, I mean you need to make sure that you are not doing more damage to yourself, how you're feeling, then you are progress on your game. So what a good balance that I've been doing recently is that I'll go to my office, I'll watch a video, and I'll play a game. Typically, it's like a Run of Binding of Isaac, maybe some Meat Boy, just Rocket League, something. Some game that I can kind of turn off my brain, but also watch something. I'll watch a YouTube video, and I'll do that, or I'll watch a movie, and I'll do that. Spend probably about 40 minutes to an hour, and then I'll spend 2 more hours actually working on my game. So what does that do for you? It means that I'm not here like trying to mess around, go on Facebook, do this or that. It means that I know like I already got the fun out of the way, and then now I can kind of focus. And I know some people are like, oh no, I'm gonna focus and then reward, but for me it's actually easier to get the reward out of the way and then focus. So whatever it takes for you. But doing that, I went from not touching the game I was working on for 20 days. Like physically, as far as coding, I didn't touch code for 20 days. But when I started that process, I managed to finish like the brunt of the bare bones for my game in like a week. Like, basic platforming things. Like I did that in a week, whereas before, like I said, I hadn't touched the code in 20 days, which is insane. Honestly, this is the most important tip in my opinion. And I've heard the story, I've seen it so many times. Even my friend William was telling me that he did the same thing at some point. He burned himself out, and then he wouldn't get back to his game in 2-3 months. So it's not just you, it's all of us. It's me, it's William, it is everybody that goes through this. So yeah, that's really what it takes. I think with those 5 tips, you will more than likely be that much closer to finishing your game and actually, make it to the end. Now, if you're wondering, why should I listen to you? Why should I listen to you about how to finish a game? I have finished games before. I finished a number of mobile games that I'm pretty proud of. Obviously, over time, you're kind of like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, but I've finished games before, and I've used these tips to help me finish and make it there, and I'm going to use these tips to help me finish Rated Mutant. So just tune in, and welcome for the ride. Welcome for the ride. Anyways, thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and like I said, comment what kind of content you guys want to see. Use me as a resource. I want to be able to kind of debunk some of the myths about game development, especially for people that are younger, people like me who started very early. So yeah, please let me know, and thank you for listening.